Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. It is a rainy Saturday afternoon in upstate New York, but I am still excited about Saturday Nightmares live from New York, our live stream. I hope to see you all there, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But right now I have an afternoon bonus. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this midday bonus upload, shall we? Hello, Jeff. My name is Robin. I've been a subscriber of yours for a few years. I don't participate in the chat or engage in social media. However, I never miss an upload. My encounter took place the weekend of Halloween in southeastern Oklahoma, Hochatown, Broken Bow to be precise. It was at a cabin I rented called Hank's Place. I'd been there in the previous months, which is relevant, but should not be confused in this encounter. I was recently single after being tied down for most of my life. I was figuring myself out, trying to find myself. As I had just turned 40 on Christmas Day, I'm a hairdresser by trade. I started painting and seeking a spiritual awakening. This all to be said, I started using a few mind-altering substances. I will not be sure if this played a part of my encounter. I can definitely tell you I was not under the influence when my encounter took place 10 years ago. I will lead in by saying that I wanted to go back to the woods, paint, connect with nature. I was hungry to find myself and perhaps the meaning of life. I contacted the owner of Hank's Place to see if I could rent a cabin for a few days. I live in redacted Oklahoma. Curiously, he called me instead of the usual email and invited me to stay for 4 days and pay for 2. As long as I'd leave good reviews. Being a single mom and no monetary help from the father, it sounded like a great deal. Now I planned on taking a companion, as my daughter was 16 and could take care of herself for a few days. She's very mature and has a good head on her shoulders. Naturally, I began seeking someone to accompany me on this well-found adventure. It seemed no one would be able to travel. After asking my closest gal pals and a romantic interest, absolutely no one was available. I was a bit saddened by the thought of going alone. However, I chalked it up at best that Spirit was asking me to go solo for a reason, perhaps an awakening. The nights leading up to my departure were filled with strange dreams and prophecies, so to speak. Now, I've always believed in Bigfoot and subsequently have had paranormal/supernatural events throughout my life. I was still game. I needed a break from life as I knew it. Packed up my supplies, paints, canvas, clothes, etc. My daughter seemed set with a fridge full of food and her then boyfriend and his family looking in on her. Ford Explorer packed, I gave my daughter a hug. I set off with my iPod for tunes and a killer playlist. Stopped for smokes and energy drinks. It takes about 4.5 hours to reach my destination. Upon getting close, I secured my groceries at a local store, which was at the head of my town before I headed north to the cabin. Upon heading in that direction, a certain feeling of pure independence and freedom invoked me. I was delirious with happiness and joy that I was doing something cool, claiming my freedom. It took my truck to get up the trail to the location. Once there was a cattle gate. I knew what this was because I lived on a very small horse ranch growing up, so no big deal. I unsecured the gate by the chain, drove through, and threw around the chain to secure the gate behind me. Thought nothing of it as I recognized cattle in the distance, fenced in. I was reminded of my last visit. The cabin was just a few yards down the trail. I parked, unloaded, and began to open up all of the doors and windows. This time of year is pleasant, so no need for AC or any heat. When I looked towards the gate, there was a big red fox strolling. It was strange because I encountered this fox when I stayed there before. Remember, relevant. For description, this place is a small 2-bedroom with a screened-in porch, wrap-around deck facing the tree line toward the south, with a 6-person hot tub, bathroom, and laundry area set towards the north side, which on the north side under the carport was a weird U-shaped bunker, if you can call it that. It was locked, but seemed out of place, unless the owner used it for storing lawn equipment or such. I tried opening it, or looking in, but to no avail, was stumped. On the east side of the property was a rock circle thing. Maybe Indian or something, I'm not sure, shrugged it off. I was there to release reality, find myself, right? It was dusk. I wasn't hungry, so I opened a bottle of wine, strategically placed some citronella candles that I had procured from the dollar store, and went outside. Set them upon the corners of the deck, got naked, put my tunes on, pulled back the lid of the hot tub, and not thinking one thing of anyone being around me, after all, I was on 5 acres, relaxed in the bubbling water, wanting to take away the day's drive and reclaim freedom. This was fine and dandy till darkness fell. The candle on the south side kept going out. The others were still glowing. Well, I relit on numerous occasions. I couldn't understand why it was going out. The breeze on the mountain ridge was coming from a different way. I don't know why, but I started taking pictures behind me, and maybe all around me in the darkness, but I had a presence in mind to snap pictures behind me. Kind of started feeling strange. I thought this was spirit telling me to be a warrior. So I got out of the tub and started yelling things like, "I'm not afraid of you, you can't hurt me," things like that. This is before I realized Jesus and his teachings. I just had a feeling to stand up. Now this is where it gets weird. I must have repressed this memory, but as I recall, I was sitting on the deck out of the hot tub in my robe, looking and seeing what I thought were fireflies, orange, yellow, red. I remember thinking how beautiful it was. No memory after that, besides waking up in the cabin. Years later, coming around to memories of fireflies and figuring out that fireflies don't exist in October. There are 2 more days of the strangeness from this encounter. Believe me, it gets weirder. It helps to sort of talk about it. It's been haunting me. I am a real person with real experience. Listening to you has helped. Trying to give you as much detail as possible. Domestic chores call. I'll type out the rest of the encounter tomorrow. Think I need to because I'm going back to the same area at the end of October with friends. They don't understand my difficulties. I'm not crazy. I just need people to understand. Thank you for all you do. Sorry for the breaking email. It was dinner and I needed to prepare. I'm really trying to muster up the encounter. I'll give you all the details I can recall. The second day started out normal. I reopened the windows and doors. I closed them from the night before, as per usual. I had opened up a package of trail mix and let it stand on the dining room table. I was tidying things up. I had my tunes playing through my iPod and home speaker, happily moving about, just putting pillows from the couch back to purpose and washing my drinking cup, etc., when I experienced a nut being thrown at me. Was this a squirrel? It was thrown, and hard, and twice, while I was in the living space. Remember, all the doors and windows were now open, but the windows had screens. Side note, Every time I was in the bathroom, facing west, the same side where the kitchen and nut came through, one open door, I had a feeling of being watched. Okay, this is high strangeness. After the nut hit my head, the refrigerator door opened by itself. I had to physically close it. Within a minute, the DVD machine started opening and closing on its own. I stood in amazement. It happened twice. At this point, I thought I was losing my mind. I got dressed and decided to hike about the property. I was super freaked. Thought the place was haunted, but kept my thoughts on thinking I'm being tested. Now I know most people would have hightailed it out of there, but I said to myself, it's just a test. Hell, I had been through a lot of physical and emotional abuse from men I was around in my life. I can endure. Walking the perimeter of the property, I came across a patch of high grass that was laid down flat. I was intrigued, and I noticed a clean cow skull laying in the laid down grass. It was exactly in the same place I saw the big fox when I arrived. Thinking it may have been its bed, I moved on. Now I came to a place where the barbed wire fence that kept the cows on the other side was almost pushed down to the ground. That freaked me out a bit. And again, I got the feeling of being watched. I kept going, and to my surprise, another few yards, there was a dead bird. Sparrow? No idea. I took pictures of all this. On the end, my pictures were deleted or my SIM card removed. More about that later. I decided to walk in the Indian stone circle and call it good. Later, I looked at my phone, which was primitive at the time. The images were astonishing. I had to mess with the color and effects and so on, but I think I captured a sign, a Dogman. That being said, it was an image and I lost my SIM card. Explain in a moment. Now, here is the real encounter. Third day, I'm still making the most of it, shaking off anything that seems malevolent. It's Halloween. I get up, stroll to the hot tub. It's rainy and foggy, a weird vibe. I try calling home. My daughter said there's weird shit happening at our house. Paintings falling from the walls, strange sounds, water coming on in a faucet. She said, whatever you're dealing with, it's happening here. Signal drops. I know I have to confront evil. I'm not running home. That night I went into town. I wanted to buy a fire starter to build a fire. They had none. I went to Grateful Head Pizza. It was closed due to a local party of chamber personnel. I crashed it. Not my finest moment. An hour later, I'm alone, trying to make a fire in the fire pit to no avail. With all the starter and firewood, would not light. I'm sitting on the screened porch. The woods go silent. The hair on my body rises. I feel terror. I run inside and lock the doors. Seconds later, the door handle jiggles, and the property lights that were around the cabin go off. I'm freaked out. I close all the blinds and turn off the lights. Crazy scream/howls happened all night. Next day, I woke up literally 10 pounds lighter. I know because my pants did not fit. And also, my car battery would not start. I had to get a jump. And when you went to retrieve my SIM card for my phone, it was gone, and all the texts about everything. So, that's my encounter. I'm going back to the area because of its beauty. But if Dark Waters is right on the migratory pattern, I may need to be aware. So after reading this and narrating it, I got thinking that I don't believe this is a Dogman. It may possibly be. But then I started to look into Native American tribes around that area, and the Choctaw was the predominant. And I found a very creepy thing that may be responsible for what you experienced. And it's called the Shemp. All of the evil spirits of the Choctaw have followed them for long journeys from the western part of North America. The witches, demons, and the monsters came with the Choctaw people. But the most horribly frightening of all of these beasts is a hideous monster the Choctaw called the Shemp. The Shemp is a giant in the form ugliest Choctaw beast. He lives in the deepest part of the woods, so far in the forest that no Choctaw has ever been able to find the location of his huge dark cave. Shemp cannot stand brightness or the sun or open air. The smell of blood will attract him, and he will follow the person who has been hunting and carrying wounded game. Shemp do not have good vision, but have keen sense of smell, and they can track a person or animal. Shemps make whistling noises as he stalks through the forest. His scent is terrible, that many people have died from his odor. While he looks like a gigantic form of Choctaw, he smells like a skunk. Some of them are hairy, like an ape, while others hairless. The Choctaw will not live in an area where the Shemp will live or be spotted. Choctaw will be often caught or chased by a Shemp. If someone were to drop a small game such as a rabbit or squirrel, the Shemp stops to eat it and may be drawn off your trail of the blood of a small animal. Shemps have followed the Choctaw people along their journey from the western United States. They say that all Shemp have returned to the west now, but today some Choctaws still hear whistling sounds in the woods and catch that strong odor. Choctaws will still drop small animals when they think the Shemp is around. You may never know that the Shemp have returned to the west. Well, there you have it, folks, this midday bonus. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. A little shorter, but I wanted to just share this one subscriber's experience. Pretty terrifying. Guys, thanks for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps this channel growing and going, and honestly, what gives people a chance and a place for them to share their experiences and theories judgment-free, simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there, and they are dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the answers, and God bless.